Hello everyone. So why has the Australian meat industry repeatedly been in mainstream media in city lounge rooms in the last couple of years? I bet we're all thinking the same thing, and they say all publicity is good publicity. Animal welfare changes are inevitable, but in lies a huge opportunity if we have the nous to see it. We have an increasingly conscious society who want ethically raised, sustainable meat and a vocal and emotive opposition in animal rights activists. And as the gap between city and country widens, the lack of education of consumers makes them so much more susceptible to misinformation. It's easy to blame activists and city slickers for the bad rep, but they haven't the experience to know otherwise. Think, for example, if the first we heard about cars is that they kill over 1,000 Australians every year. It'd be understandable to be concerned. If a drunk driver injures someone, drivers are outraged. And so are we as a farming community when we see ill treatment of animals. We need to demonstrate our professional validity in this matter and become respected champions of animal welfare. The challenge is balancing your values and beliefs, your productivity and the consumer requirements. We have this thing called a social licence to farm, which means our industry behaviour is consistent with community expectations. The current stats on our licence show that disapproval of mulesing is almost 30%, despite few people being able to accurately define it. But don't pass the buck as simply an increase in community ignorance. We need to realise that the social licence is what allows us to personally benefit from livestock production, so it's our responsibility to stand up for it. We're already meeting many ethical prerequisites, often without recognition. But in some areas, we're running out of reasons not to do a bit more or act a bit more quickly. As an industry, we need to get more comfortable talking and thinking about welfare as part of the community, not an isolate of farmers. The things we find difficult to contextualise or word today are only going to get more difficult tomorrow. And if we wait for a premium for ethical meat, we might miss the boat, so to speak. So the opportunity rests in our hands alone. How we sell the great things we already do is critical. In droughts, we often lead towards selling desperation, but it can make us look neglectful to the uninformed. We're likely only going to get further separated from consumers, so we need to sell the respectable, trustworthy, professional and connect on an emotional level. Remembering it needs to be understandable to someone whose experience only extends to pets. So get rid of the photo of the gun and the old ewe and substitute it with the faces of the sheep that you're feeding. How we shape our mindset is also vital and probably the hardest part. If we can work with the community towards shared welfare goals, we can also drive increased productivity, labour efficiencies and market premiums. But like consumers, we like to put the responsibility of change onto others. But this is our opportunity to shape the future of animal welfare, not just react to the outcome. Consider this as our challenge. In the next month, connect with one person outside of ag, whether it's through social media or on a plane, and unashamedly sell yourself. One day we might use traceability systems to connect consumers to the families that produce their meat. What will you say about your farm? Thank you.